Hello, I'm Justin. This is Kellan. Welcome to the Fizz. There are several things that have been making the rounds on the news cycle that paint kind of a dark corner for what's happening with AI. Felt worth having a chat about here at the top. The general container for this, I don't think it just applies to Gen Z, but Gen Z has been like a convenient word to use in headlines. Just general resentment towards AI. And there's been some interesting events that I think kind of really crystallize how people are feeling about this that have circled around the news. One, I think, happened a week or two ago. Schmidt, former CEO of Google, was booed giving a commencement speech at a university because all of these students have been told repeatedly to not cheat with AI, don't use AI, think for yourself, so on and so forth. And so he takes the stage and tells them that embracing AI is going to be the key to their future. And so it's like, talk about walking into the wrong room with the wrong message. And, sort of like not understanding. He probably had no idea. It's probably like an honest message he believes in, like AI, like this is going to be key to your future prosperity and all these things. But their lived experience on the ground in university is, AI bad, don't cheat. It's, that's not, which I think has always been sort of a tension in the education system of like, not just with AI, but almost kind of any technology over time. It's like, you can, I remember even hearing stories from my grandparents, not to be too cliche, but it's like, oh, back in our day, we had to do the division by hand on paper. We didn't have the calculators.
Right.
I learned how to use a slide rule or that kind of stuff. You don't know how easy you've got it. So I think there is dissonance there in this issue where, people are graduating, entering into a job market where at the moment, junior roles are being highly criticized, and often seen as like an easy, potentially, not necessarily for sure, but potentially easy first target for AI to make a huge impact. And so I get the booze for sure.
None of this is like being talked about really by any type of like substantial leader. So like, who are they to believe? It's just like a bunch of influencers, and whichever kind of influencer hole you go down, like that's going to be the narrative.
I think that there's a handful of things that I think are contributing to this tension in the academic world. One is that even though generative AI has been on the scene now for a few years and it's advancing rapidly, I don't think I could sit here today and honestly state that there are established practices in the business community for using AI effectively. I don't think there are. I think we're getting there day by day. I think there's patterns and things that are emerging, but it's not like the academic world has something to look at and say, we need to prepare our people for that. It's all happening in real time. And so it's weird.
Yeah. I would like to add to that, because I think that's a nouns and verbs thing. Like if you use AI as a monolith, as like a replacement kind of methodology, like without describing what it's going to replace, what you will get in return is pushback and fear.
I think like that's a big factor. There's nothing like clear, even if we were well intentioned and we wanted to, like AI is not a mature practice in today's business community. It's just not. The other thing that I think contributes, and maybe there's some integrity to this one, is, there's been plenty of research done about how AI affects cognitive behavior, knowledge retention, critical thinking abilities, things like that. And so I think there's maybe some genuine, like, well, let's not like teach the younger generation to just be lazy and incompetent. Right. So, okay. But I don't know that the antidote to that is avoid AI. Like that's not the right approach either. I think you make a really good point about being more clear about this, because I think I think you and I could say we've maybe lived this own experience in our educations. This is all even pre-AI. Most of school, K through even college, is this cycle of getting taught things, reading things, and then performing some task like an exam or a paper and then getting a grade,
Mm-hmm.
right? That is not how being in a knowledge worker role works at all, right? It
Right.
is, our goal is to make more sales, become more efficient, get the stuff to the production floor,
Yep.
and by, this is an exaggeration, I think, but like by any means necessary, right? It's like just create constant creative problem solving,
Mm-hmm.
constant creative problem solving. And the way where we've gotten to with AI is you have these technical marvels that are incredibly intelligent. They can think and they can reason and they can process. And even though, we joke about this on the show sometimes, like they face plant and they do silly stuff and they ask us if we want to go to sleep, and they have like this insane level of permanent, like they
Mm-hmm.
know everything about science and medicine and software and accounting and all at the same time. Right. And so incredible tool, it's coming. But I think that, when you see it from that side, it's like, okay, you and I were like, well, how can we use this to create some sort of advantage for ourselves as individuals, as a startup type company? But when, especially people like the Gen Z, the people coming out of college, when all they hear is, like you said, billionaires saying AI is going to replace everything, nobody's going to need to work. Musk out there saying there'll be infinite supply of goods and services, universal high income. Sam Altman saying, well, I don't think people want universal high income. They want to contribute. So maybe we'll give them like he said this on a podcast, like we'll just give them tokens. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm not signing up for this world either. That's like, and if that's what's going to happen, it'll be interesting, but it's like not what people don't want to advocate for that. Like this is the first time where the narrative, it's almost like an undertone in the conversation of how every other technical revolution has created, while there's been disruption to the job market and things like that, it's created more abundance in goods and services and
Mm-hmm.
opportunity, generally speaking, right? That's not everybody's lived experience, but that's what's true in the aggregate. That it's not talked about this way. It's
Yep.
mentioned, like sometimes we'll be like, oh, but look at like this. And so I think there's a real challenge in universities, especially and even high school, junior high, element, like preparing people that are young for what the world might be like as a result of technology, you know. But yeah, and I mean, our whole thing is we want to create situations where people are thriving because of the technology, not getting replaced by it. Which
Mm-hmm.
I still, yes, an organization can run more efficiently with AI, and arguably needs less human capital to do the same amount of work. But I mean, we use this stuff all the time. We've built all kinds of stuff. Like the idea that today, like an AI can just outright replace the entirety of what a person does. Like we're just not there yet. We just
Right.
are not there. So, and I'm with
Well,
you
I
on
think that,
I'm on with you on research, by the way.
yeah, it's
Like,
brutal.
oh my gosh. Yeah,
Yeah, you still got to read the findings and stuff.
sure.
But like, what was I going to say? Even your like last comment, which is true, but just causes even more anxiety, which is like we're not there yet. Is
Right.
is is a dot dot dot
Mm,
because it's like, well, when?
right.
Um, because everyone like even when you hear like different, you know, like leaders of like these AI companies talk like at conferences and stuff,
Uh-huh.
they're like, I don't know, maybe like 2 or 3 years. You're like, what the hell does that mean?
Right.
Like what's the end point? Like, does that mean that like by that at that point I don't need to
Hmm.
work anymore? So the future is not clearly being articulated, even if it's just a guess. Like that, the
Right.
guess is usually a massive, massive variance between like apocalypse and utopia. It's like
Right.
that can't be true. So I mean, it's going to be somewhere in between. It's hard to believe as like you were asking people to be critical thinkers,
Hmm.
and all the evidence at the moment for like replacing AI work, replacing employees with AI and things like that. If you're a critical thinker and have any basic economics acumen, the only assumption is that the middle and upper levels of that company will benefit because you will have less cost
Hmm.
because you won't have that, you only be paying for tokens and not people
Right.
for those roles. I'm not saying that they can be replaced right now, but some
Right.
can. Some parts of roles like
Right.
research can
Hmm.
theoretically be augmented. So that's not a great signal to the younger generation to say, um, we'll send out $10,000 checks without any type of
Hmm.
guarantee when you're supposed to always have guarantees, right? Like be
Right.
responsible, like
Right.
follow the law, blah, 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 all the stuff,
Right.
except that like just trust us on this other things
Hmm.
when it comes to your actual economic well-being. When like when the logical economic reality is that like, not logic, the logical conclusion
Hmm.
would be that it would benefit upper management by far the most, because where's that cost going to
Correct.
go? It's going to go to either shareholders,
It's gonna go
it's
up.
going to
Yeah.
go to the higher levels of the organization. It's going to go to it's the last place it's going to go is people that aren't hired at the company. They're not
That's
going to
right.
get any of it.
That's right.
So, and what purpose would, without like some type of tax or something, like the government's not
Hmm.
seeing any of those savings.
Right.
So the only arbiter in a sense of the people versus like any type of like business action would be government. So I don't see any signal
Hmm.
from global governments to like inject themselves in some type of like not welfare, but like what this does to the general population kind of
Right.
consensus. That's not happening like anywhere. So I don't think it's fair to throw Gen Z under the bus or anything like that when like all
Hmm.
of the reality in front of them is telling them this. And I'm not trying to
Right.
scare people. I'm just saying like change the narrative and like have the action
Yeah.
represent that narrative. If you
Yeah.
so that's all I'm saying.
We talked a little bit about this last week because I think or a couple weeks ago, can't remember. I think there's a big difference between the reliability you have using AI to build something like software
Mhm.
and the stability and reliability of the software versus using AI in some sort of knowledge oriented fashion. And even though it's incredibly, incredibly intelligent and like
Mhm.
you researcher, legal, medicine, like if all of a sudden there's like just not a need for doctors, right? Like,
Mhm.
I'm going extreme on these thought experiments, but I just think I think it's kind of a positive, maybe as a concluding thought, that there is a formidable segment of the population that is vocalizing their feelings in a certain way. That was
Yeah.
the other thing we saw today, like a DuckDuckGo is taken off because people are tired of Google's AI in search results. Yeah, I get it. I feel it.
Yeah. And to the like two things can sometimes be true. So like I get energized by what I'm able to kind of build. I probably could have built before AI, but
Yeah.
like it would have taken so long. I wouldn't have
Hmm.
hired someone probably, but I would have just taken me a bit longer to do it. So the speed and that kind of efficiency and stuff like that has been exciting to me. But like it's not been about like replacing people. I've never
Right.
got excited about
No.
that. So yeah, like I've had prior employees that you know in past roles where I'm like, man, let's get them equipped with AI, and like all of a sudden
Hmm.
they're going to be rocking, and they were. So anyway, yeah, it's a complicated thing. I definitely don't think it's one leader's going to have one chat and all of us or one
Right.
talk and it's going to be solved at
Hmm.
all. It's going to be like this thing. But the thing, the market, the market is talking with
Right.
the DuckDuckGo with different
Hmm.
booing Eric Schmidt or whatever. Like they're saying the narrative is off, guys.
Yeah.
It's not landing, and some more specificity is needed here about how this affects us, and it's reasonable to assume that.
Right.
They're seeing people on social media flaunting wealth that they may or may not have. Seeing people talk about AI in pretty scary terms at
Hmm.
times, either like actual implementation or like just theoretical. And I think there's not a lot of people talking about how this might benefit them. And
Right.
the only logical conclusion is that it won't. So I'm here to say I think there is a lot of ways it would
Yeah.
benefit them, and that some of them are very small tactical things
Hmm.
like building your household app or
Right.
um, doing deeper research on a topic that maybe you're like,
Hmm.
gosh, I'm seeing a lot on social media about this, but that does not feel right. Like, is that
Yeah.
factually correct? And actually have it do some research for you that's impartial and cited and like real and things like that that go beyond just like what are some good places to buy Pokemon cards in my area,
Right.
you know,
Right.
like so. Anyway,
We're here for the ride. Yeah, I think the best advice I have for anyone is, jump in the pool, learn about this stuff. Unless you were going down a different track professionally, and I mean, there's even then, it's like it's almost everywhere. Jump in the pool, learn about it, be prepared. I hate to have that sort of like kill or be killed kind of advice sometimes, but until there's a better narrative,
yeah,
I think
I'd like to offer two additional, one being just an add-on to that,
two
pieces of advice. One is, and this isn't financial advice, we're not financial advisors or anything like that, but the majority of the wealth,
the following includes forward-looking statements.
that's right. The majority of wealth creation in one's life comes generally through equity building. So if I was a younger person, I would try, I know there's not a whole lot of disposable income, to
Right.
invest some small amount in compounding kind of, so that'd be like a stock or stocks, things like that. Not high risky stocks, not
No day trading.
futures. Yeah, not like just putting it a small amount, $10 a week or something into like a brokerage account, because the prices and stuff, like the realities of the economy are not great, but the company health, like the stock market health, is at an all-time high, right? There's a massive disparity there. That's because I think a lot of wealth is being oriented towards shareholders. So I would consider, not a financial advisor, but consider putting a little bit of money, if you're younger, putting some money into the stock market or something like that, or like an index fund or something. The other is, if you think or don't think AI would affect you in the future, that's like, try to understand some of the technology around AI a little bit. Like dip your toe, like you said, like dip your toe in there a little bit, just like the whole, like, I don't really know what AI does, or the chat GPTs. And it's like, okay, but if you're in the workforce, I would maybe, that's actually, it's kind of like in right now to kind of have that mentality. But like, I would say, like, it's going to hurt you in the long term.
I agree.
So I would just, you don't have to be like, go building apps. I'm not saying that, but like trying to understand like the four walls of what AI can do and where it's going and where it's been, I think is actually somewhat beneficial research for yourself. And then if you're like, yeah, I kind of do want to see what this can do live, try to, build like an HTML, like a website page or something, or generate a PDF of something, and try to just dip your toe in there, because you don't need to necessarily be able to speak like an expert. But I think starting to dip your toe in there is going to help you if the future comes in which like that knowledge is required.
Cool. Kellan, did you know we are now officially double-digit episode number, fellas, on the Fizz? This will be number 11. 1-1.
Click subscribe.
Click subscribe.
Whatever, with the little banner thing.
Click. I think it's right. All the things we've been up to, we've been talking about on the show, but everything from getting the website stood up to building our content apparatus to building up our system and products that we're talking to people about, having like real client conversations and real client work. We've done a lot in the last 11 weeks, man.
Yeah, we have.
It's been a whirlwind.
It's crazy. It's been almost 3 months. It's nuts. Yeah. Actually, wait, no, it has been exactly 3 months.
Exactly 3 months. Yep. We're going to turn the page over to the month of June here. Yeah. Thanks to everybody for coming along for the ride. Let me ask you a question. In the spirit of the first 3 months of Tiny Bottle AI, we built so many things, like individually, together, like we're still building things. What would you say, if you could take away like one thing from the first 90 days of doing what we've been doing, like what would you take away from it?
I mean, might sound a little weird, maybe not. And this is maybe for other people too, but like, don't let other people build your constraints. Like, just do what you want to, like, do what you believe is right and what you want to do. Like, if you want to go start another business, go do that. Like, you'll
Right.
figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you'll find a tribe. Like, you'll find some way to make money or whatever. That's like, I think, not to get like go on the AI side or whatever, but like because that was kind of a dark part in some ways. But I think the most important thing, like in life, is like to try to like find something you want to go, like spend your time doing. So that's been fun building something, being able to make decisions quickly. Not just like the AI stuff, but just like as a business, being able to kind of decide how you want your days to go to some extent, and prioritizing the time where you want it to go long term
Right.
versus like that maybe like the job dictating that. And that will to some extent, right? But like less so than maybe a job that you are
Mm-hmm.
really struggling to have any control of your day in.
Right.
So I mean, it's kind of a weird one because
No,
that
it's
has
great.
nothing to do with like the business necessarily, but
Yeah.
finding your own work life balance, I think, is important as like an
Mm-hmm.
individual, very small it's not small, but it's like a very small
Mm-hmm.
individual mission. I think I would highly recommend everyone kind of take it some time and
Yeah.
explore without the constraint of money and stuff like that. Just like
Right.
what, like I guarantee you, if you're doing what you love, you'll be happy in an apartment or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like it'd be fine.
Yeah.
Trust me, I've lived
Yeah.
up. I've done it all,
Yeah.
and money was not the reason for any type of happiness
Right.
at any of those situations. It was the purely a function of people you surround yourself with and where you spend time doing things you like doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're like in an accounting, but you hate accounting, might be time to kind of,
Yeah.
rethink what that extra strategy looks like and what you want to enter into. You only got one life. It's a cliche, but it is true.
Couldn't.
So,
It's the most true thing there is to is. Yeah. That's
so that's
great.
been the best for me. What about you?
Okay. Yours is really good. I would. I I think for me, this is more of like entrepreneurial business strategy, success framing lesson.
Hmm.
And I really wanted to believe this. Like whenever I would think about starting a business, I wanted to believe what I'm about to say, but it was hard to. You do not need that much in the way of clients or revenue to be happy and to do really, really well.
Yeah.
And so even in our early days, we're only at it for 3 months. I think we're ahead of schedule on a lot of our goals,
Oh,
just generally
100%.
for the business, right?
Yeah.
But just everybody has a like. This is another thing for people to remember. Everybody has a network, right? Everybody, and like there are people that you already know that could either A, use your help with whatever you're good at, or B, know people that could use your help.
Hmm.
Right. And it's like, if you want to do something entrepreneurial, even in the AI space or even in the software space, not everything needs to get framed through the $100 million exit, $20 million seed round, 100,000 users, you know, s- for us, like candidly, like a handful of clients goes a long way.
Hmm.
So I just think I was always struggled to embrace that, but now like seeing kind of where things are heading for us internally, with that sort of business development, actual revenue on the board opportunity, you just realize like, oh, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's not like we need to, you know, it's like you don't need to achieve these like glorious numbers. Like you can be an unknown and do really, really well. Like some of the most successful companies of all time are like people you've never heard of.
Yeah. That's so true.
I remember this. I was with a former client and was like sitting around this conference room table and he goes, name some companies. Like, you ever heard of these people? I was like, I have no idea what it is. Like, yeah, they're the largest supplier of whatever in the entire world. They do billions and billions of dollars. And nobody knows who they are. You can be huge and nobody knows who you are. You can be small. Like, here's the thing. Like, nobody cares. Like, nobody cares about you as much as you do. So like, be happy, believe in yourself. I'm sure we've learned all kinds of technical lessons about doing what
Hmm.
we've done, but there's certainly something to be said about the power of what we've been able to do with AI helping us along the way. But I think, if there's a little nudge you need to go try and do a side hustle or start your own business or be an entrepreneur inside the company you work for today, pushing different ideas forward, like go do it, make it happen.
Yeah, I think that's
part.
yeah, I think that's so true. Also, I think if you just do some like, get out of the grind for a second, on vacation, or think about like your current job, you might realize that like it's much harder than you think, and that like the startup cost, and not money cost, but like the doing something different is actually less work potentially.
Right.
At most, like the same amount of work potentially as a bad job.
Right.
So it's just that one is a pull, one's a push.
Yeah.
So you do gotta have some some motivation, and that's sometimes hard if you're like kind of beat down, but just kind of envisioning that world for yourself, I think is a helpful thing to do.
I got someone in my close circle who's been a good resource to bend an ear, talking about doing entrepreneurial things. And he said something to me once. He's like, listen, if you go work for some company and like, let's say your job is sales, and you have a bad quarter, you don't hit your quota, like, well, what happens if you do that too many times? Well, eventually you get fired. But,
Right.
it's like that's what it's like. But when you're doing your own thing, you're hanging your own shingle, like you get up the next day and you keep going, and you still keep pursuing what your dream is. And so, yeah, I think that's probably my biggest takeaway is how much fun it's been to finally be doing this, and then realizing that you don't need to have 100,000 daily active users. It's like not everybody needs to jump into that world. So excited about the next 3 months.
Yeah. Same.
If you're a fan of the show, you like what you're listening to, like, subscribe, share with your friends. Until next week, see you later.